All right. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Power 30. We have a special guest today. We've got Matt Haugh from the Synergy Community and the Sync Leadership Council today talking with us. And I have the honor today of being our moderator for this call. So thank you, Matt, for being willing to chat with us today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today as well. So just a quick reminder, Power 30 is a quick 30 minutes of interviewing someone, usually in the Synergy community or EXP community. And we kind of just ask them certain questions about their experience of their wheelhouse or their experience with EXP, whatever that might be. And since I happen to know Matt pretty well, we've been friends now for a couple years. I kind of know his story and I know what his business was like just 2 years ago, a year and a half ago or so, and how his business is like now. We chat about that every now and again. And so it came up and I asked him if he would be our guest today and chat about what he did to change his business, literally from night to day, from about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago. Anybody could do it. He made a few simple changes and I just want to chat about that and share that with everybody. So with that, Matt Haugh, will you just jump in and quickly introduce yourself just for a minute and give us a little bit of backstory on yourself?
All right, will do. Well, first off, I'm honored to be here and thanks for inviting me. And I'm always willing to share and help any way I can. And so being able to do this is pretty sweet. I might be a little nervous or excited, whatever you want to frame that as. But anyways, I have married almost 20 years now, have 4 kids. I've been in real estate, been licensed since 2005. Prior to that, I worked for the city of Las Vegas. And I got into real estate. I started pretty much at Keller Williams. I did really great there for a few years. And the market adjusted or blew up or whatever you want to call it. And, I took a bunch of short sale listings that I had and I went over to a 100% company. And then I just kind of eventually died on the vine over there. I survived until 2010, 11 in real estate. It just wasn't fun by then. And the bottom was here and, I just needed a change. So I was a car broker for a credit union for 6 years. And in 2018, I decided to get back into real estate thinking, I did it before. I was a top producer at one time. I could do it again. I think it was going to be pretty easy. That first year, 2018, was really, really rough. I was able to put a whole 6 deals together. And I was introduced to EXP at the end of the year. It was the end of October. And I went to a lunch and learn with at Joe D's office that I'm actually in right now. Cody had invited me and there was a bunch of agents in there and I heard the model and I couldn't unsee it. And it was exactly what I was looking for as far as needing the technology to actually have a business, because from 2010, 11, or even 2005, 6, when I was a top producer, everything has changed. I mean, there was like 1-800 call capture numbers was the big technology then. So I knew I needed a technology company. I needed a good website and CRM and everything. And then that revenue share model, that was definitely appetizing. That didn't click for me until a few months later after joining. But anyways, I knew I had to come over to EXP. And that was just kind of the start of just an amazing journey for me in many different facets. So I joined the very end it was like the end of November 2018. I really didn't set my goals until really like the last week in December. And I kind of committed. I was like, I'm going to use technology to generate leads because I have it. I'm paying $85 a month. I'd be stupid not to. And then I remember I was in the shower and it was just weird. I think I might have been listening to the Brett Gove thing. And I was like, dude, that revenue share, holy crap, I should really focus on that too. So I committed. I was going to hit open houses to meet I was going to hit 2 open houses a week to meet 2 real estate agents and just shoot the breeze with them and introduce myself and make connections. That's how I was going to do the recruiting aspect of it. Invite them to Cody Lewis's lunch and learns that we were setting up. I was blessed to be in the very infancy of the Synergy community and the start of that. And so I was dedicated to doing that. I had learned from something that when I go over my core values in a little bit, is I'm always learning. I don't watch TV. I might watch a little bit of TV at night with my wife as we go to bed, but I listen to podcasts, YouTube, university, business, mindset, all that stuff. I just feed my mind with that, and I get these nuggets and I kind of run with it. And I had heard on GSD, get stuff done or shit done, whatever you want to call it. It was a podcast, and he talked about posting free Facebook, posting houses on the Facebook marketplace. So I committed to doing that for January 2019. I was going to join a few groups. I was going to post a property or loan program and feed them into my KV course system. So those are like just two simple things that I had committed to. It wasn't ground shaking because I was not much of at that point, I was not much of a goal setter, to be honest with you. You just need to take little bites and commit to little things that you can do. And so I started doing that. It was starting to pay off. My CRM was, getting leads almost every day, or some kind of contact or communication from the free stuff I was doing on Facebook that I had learned by, feeding my mind every morning with, good content. And then things really I had to get real clear on my goals and my time management. In May that year, my wife got diagnosed with stage 4 follicular lymphoma. And so I needed to really commit to doing things. Because at that point, I was either going to bury my head and not do much. It was like a lot of emotions. So I really needed to focus on my mindset and these little things that I was doing every day that I committed to at the beginning of the year to do. And I stayed pretty consistent, more consistent than my normal from I had been in the past, but I had a really good why I needed to focus. Also, I was blessed at that time because I had a lot riding. Cody actually invited me to be a part of the leadership council and do these other things with Synergy. And so that really helped me have a purpose and a family in a really difficult time for me that I was going through. And that's actually when I met you, Lacey, and you introduced me to some, mental practices that have really helped me as well. So 2019, I was able to do 13 transactions and just shy of like 3.5 million in volume. And I was happy with that, especially for what I had gone through in that year. Not only in May with my wife diagnosed with stage 4 follicular lymphoma and had like 2 surgeries. My daughter had 2 heart surgeries. And I was just thinking this the other day when I was talking to you, Lacey, my car actually blew a head gasket like Memorial Day weekend. And I borrowed cars for 2 to 3 months doing real estate. Like I had an awesome neighbor and my in-laws had a car. I wasn't going to let anything get me down. And I just stayed focused and, I fulfilled a mission. And another thing, a huge blessing that came for me to stay consistent with doing the open house thing, I was able to grow my revenue share because there were times that I can distinctly remember it was probably the middle of May. I was at a lunch and learn. We had just booked a surgery for my wife, and like it was a pretty big copay at the time. And I pulled up my app and there was like $560 in there from revenue share. I was like, holy crap, this thing's working. So that motivated me a little bit more. And so, it's just those tender mercies and those really cool things that I can look back on that I'm like, okay, like, I kept my head down and it paid off, and, I just got to keep going. So that was 2019. I made it through. And I remember, that December, January, I was at Denise Klein's house. And that's another awesome thing about the Synergy community. Denise Klein was always inviting me to go to her team stuff. I'm like a pigeon at Joe's office. I land whenever I need, or, now I kind of have a nest here. Thanks, Joe and Dave. But just these awesome things that happened to me that in 2019 that really should have like kept me under the water, and, just a good support system and staying focused, kind of pulled us through. And so going back to Denise Klein, she said, what's your goal for 2020? And I hadn't really thought about it. I just done 3.5 and I was like, I just said 10 million. And I didn't even think about how I was going to do it because I still wasn't quite the goal setter that I am now and vision, like, visualization type mindset. But I just threw it out there, and then, I wrote it down and I thought about it here and there. And in my head, I actually was kind of cheating because I thought I had like some big commercial project that was going to be like 5 million. So I was like kind of cheating in my head. I just kind of set the bar low, and that's kind of how I was then. It's just enough to survive and just stay consistent. And so anyways, we've got to for the first few months of 2020, I was still doing the Facebook ads. I was still trying to stay somewhat consistent with meeting people on a consistent basis to, to bring them over to EXP or just to meet awesome people. I can think of 5 people right now that I met in 2019, beginning 2020, doing open houses that are just really good friends. They might not be at EXP now, but they eventually will, see the vision and come over. But it's just, doing those things really helped out. And so when COVID hit in 2020, like I couldn't do that. All I could do is keep doing the Facebook things to keep feeding my CRM to get leads that I can try to convert and stay in front of. And so that was another like kind of one of those like I need to either do it or don't do it. And that was when COVID hit, I think everybody that was in real estate at that time was kind of in a fog for a few days, right? It was just like, what the heck just happened? Like the world's going to end. And at that point I decided I'm not going to let that happen. Real estate's always going to happen. People need houses, and, I'm just going to stay positive and listening to podcasts and different things like that. It said, call your clients, pick up the phone, connect with your clients. That's all they can do. And don't try to sell them anything. See how the heck they're doing. See if you can do anything. I actually sent a mass text out to my database saying if anybody needed toilet paper. I had an old guy reach out to me. I took him freaking toilet paper. Oh. The guy could barely rent the apartment that he was in, but whatever. It was, he was in my database. He needed help. And, it was just a cool experience. But, I just reaching out to my clients and stuff and educating them, especially at that time, you have a job now, you might not later, you might want to get into a house now, and people were worried, well, what if the market crashes, what's going to happen? Well, these people that I cared about, that I spoke to in the beginning of COVID, man, these people, some of them had like $90,000 to $100,000 in equity, right? So had I not reached out to them, they might have stayed on the fence and not done anything. Their rents would have gone up, or they could have lost their job and not gotten into a house. I had one client, they got into a house, he got laid off shortly afterwards, but he was so grateful because it's much better to be in a house and be able to, talk to your mortgager, about like, hey, we're going to be a little bit behind because the landlord's going to kick you out. Well, I guess they couldn't during COVID, but it's a lot better conversation. And I'm glad I was able to be a part of that, being on that side of it. So, so my numbers for 2020, just staying focused and reaching out to people and getting some systems in place and really becoming accountable and putting some an accountability partner into my life, that really set my 2020 off. And I was able to complete 25 transactions. I barely missed Icon. I missed it by 2 deals, which really stung, and I will not let that happen this year. But the things that really changed my business for 2020 is shortly after COVID, I decided I needed an accountability. I've always been like trying to create accountability groups. If you guys remember, I was trying to do the thing at IKEA and some other things. And a lot of that was agent attraction. And then I try to do the call thing on Thursday. A lot of it because accountability helps me, and I believe it helps other people. And so I've always been trying to do those things, but I was able to get Dave Riker to lock arms with me, and Marcus, he was able to, commit, and we started a 4-point system. And it wasn't my idea. It was also from learning from YouTube University, and always be learning mindset, a 4-point system to where we were just intentional about what our day was going to look like, about, we're going to contact people and we're going to achieve these. Like if there's 2 things that we need to achieve today, those are going to be the 2 things, and we're not going to go to bed until those are done. And a lot of it has just really helped us. I can speak more to that if you like, Lacey, or.
Yeah, so can I jump in really fast? So you just gave us like a drink from a fire hose. You gave us a lot of information there. I just want to call out a couple of things. So really quick, you said you pay $85 a month for technology. And so we all do, right? Especially for the newbies out there. I just want to clarify what that is. So everybody pays $85 a month as an agent at EXP. That covers a few different things, but one of the things that covers is KV Core. And KV Core is that CRM that Matt mentioned about. He had a database and it was sitting in his CRM. So he's really saying his KV Core is a database, as well as it's your website, It's how you communicate. It's how you watch what people are doing on your website, all of those good things. And Matt, from what I understand and working with you in the past couple of years, you found a really great sweet spot with using KV Core and putting up that information on Facebook in a relevant way where you captured information or you shared information about listings. So I believe you were either doing squeeze pages or landing pages. Can you tell us a little bit about how you manufactured that together?
Yeah, so you use the squeeze page part of your KV core. And so what I typically do is I go in and I pick a few properties that, people would like. I pick the freshest ones because they go fast these days, but a year or two ago they sat on a little bit longer. But I pick a good property and have a template, and I would just plug all the details in and create a squeeze link. So when people want more information on it, they click that and it sends them to my KV Core website, and they have to put their information in. Then they go into a drip campaign, and that's where I follow up with them and try to convert them into business.
Yep, awesome. So there's a few pieces you put together there. You pre-built the campaigns. You made that quick squeeze page, kind of like a landing page. And then you put that on social. So that's free to put out as a post on social. So all of those items you're able to do, like I would call in-house for free. You paid no one else to do it and you're able to do them on your own. So everybody has the option to do that at EXP. Everyone can replicate exactly what Matt is saying, helped garner him some leads and some business. And Matt, I remember you saying that you had business come out of there that you were surprised you actually captured and converted and then made into deals. You were like, wow, this really works. So I highly recommend, if you need to refresh yourself on squeeze pages and KV Core and how all that works. Luckily, we've got something called KV Killa. We've got a show coming up again next week. We also have a playlist on YouTube, so go ahead and refresh yourself on all of those things. You can do it too. So also, if anybody has questions or anything you want Matt to talk more about, go ahead and feel free to put that in the chat. So also, Matt, you talked a lot about a few things I just want to pull out, and you talked about your core values. So you said one of your core values was constantly educating yourself or constantly getting your mind right in that space, that headspace. Mm-hmm. And you, like me, have a few really great teachers, I just call them teachers, I don't know what to call them, really great teachers or channels that you like to watch. And I'm a YouTuber too. I'm watching it or listening to it, I should say, all the time. So you're constantly learning. What are some of those other core values? I hear you say you had a plan, you put together a plan, you put together accountability partners. So if you were to condense what your core values are, hit us with those.
Okay, well, it's going to sound a little like mindset-y, and I know you don't like that term, but I'm just a firm believer that something wonderful is always happening for me. Even when it's not, even when the world's crashing down and things like that, I just have to remind myself that, something wonderful is happening for me. That's part of the plan, and, I'll get through it. And that's definitely helped me. And just be consistent as much as you can on protecting your mental space, or your ecosystem is what I call it. Because it's your ecosystem, your brain is so fragile at times, right? And when you let negative things or toxic people in, or situations, it just can really derail you. And I've gotten real intentional the last little bit about, not letting that happen. And that has really keeps me focused, and I'm able to visualize better and make things happen versus, dwelling on the negative and, this is happening to me, or, I'm short here and this isn't working out. And the other thing is I've learned, especially in the last little bit, to kind of celebrate my victories. And I actually have Dave Riker to thank for that. We call it the yeah buts. Something good would happen for me, or I get a client or something, and I would tell them about it, or I'd share it or whatever. And then I just always followed it up with, well, yeah, but it could have been this, or I should have done that. And it's like, dude, stop doing that. Just celebrate the win and keep going. That's it. And it's just a negative thing that I've just always, and I'm trying, and I'm getting a much better about it. It's just reframing things, and I know it sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo and stuff, but it really is important. And I know Joe D speaks to it a lot. You got to have your mind right. But yeah, just protect your time. That's another thing that I just realized, like my time is just way too valuable to waste. And, I got to make as much money as I can in a little time as possible so I can, provide for my family and have the treatments that my wife needs. And, and I can have that freedom to be flexible. And those are some other changes that I made towards the end of last year. Is actually I hired a virtual assistant to help me with my Facebook stuff, because I really don't enjoy Facebook. I'm not on it. I have a presence on it because you need a presence on it. So I'd rather pay somebody in the Philippines to do that for me. So I just let the secret out of the bag probably, but that's how I've been able to stay consistent too, is I work with her. I show her what to do. She's helped me a lot on so many different levels. And then another thing that's really, you can't do it alone, is a transaction coordinator. I wouldn't have the volume that I have, in the pipe right now, without a good transaction coordinator too. So just a good team.
Yeah. Okay. And just to clarify, I don't hate mindset. I just feel like that term, we use it all the time. And so I feel like it just it's so like thrown around so often that we kind of just like let it bypass us, and we're like, oh, mindset. But I agree 1000% with you, Matt. It's everything, right? It's like literally everything. And so I like to use other words for it because I just feel like it's so overused. So I like it, Matt. Let's just clarify. Okay. So we did get a question in the comments exactly what we just spoke to, which was your VA or your virtual assistant. So I want to ask you about that. And then also we've got one more question. Can you recap what your 2020 numbers were? I know you said that it was good, but what was your 2020 number?
So I did 25 deals, and I did hit my goal of 10 million.
You did.
Yeah, it was just shy. It was like 9.7 or something, but I'll take it, round up.
Did you?
Yeah, but I just butted myself.
So you basically hit your goal, and it was freaking amazing. Yeah. So you went from 6 to doubling it to 13 to 25. Just doubling it to 25.
Yeah. So and this year my goal is to hit over 20 million in 40 transactions. So
wow.
Yeah.
All right. That's amazing. Okay, so really quick, can you just tell everybody how you came about finding a VA, a virtual assistant?
Okay, so there's a company called Rocket Sphere, or Sphere Rocket, actually, I think it is. A guy named Justin Nelson, and that was another thing. I was listening to a podcast. He was on it, and I reached out to him, and he's actually just how things connect. Like I met him. He hooked me up with a really good VA. As a company that you just pay a fee. He finds and trains them for you, and then there's like, they just make sure that they stay trained and take care of everything that you need. They don't kind of leave you in the lurk. But anyways, like connections and just important to that, I met him. He introduced me to a lender that's just been, awesome, friend and business partner, and just keep connecting. That's kind of the thing. I guess that would be another thing to live by, is I'm always trying to conscious to connect with clients and connect with different partners and past clients and things like that. And that's kind of that 4-point system I'll speak to really quick. It's based on connecting with people and having tasks and setting appointments and stuff. Because if you're just waiting for people to contact you, it's just not going to happen. You got to reach out to them, and you have to create the net to catch them, but then you have to reach out and do more than just have them sit in your CRM.
Yeah. So we're running low on time. We just have a few minutes left. There's a couple of things I want to touch on really quick as we close. Matt, I remember the day that you and I were speaking, and I don't remember how it came up, but you were like this. You were like, "Oh my gosh, I have stock," and you were like able to like pay off a bunch of debt. And I think you completely forgot that you were like collecting stock along the way. And like one day you like woke up and you're like, "I have a crap ton of money in stock." So tell us how that day was.
Yeah, so that was awesome. 2019, I was inviting people to join the company, and I was putting, every time I had a deal, I put money in there, and didn't really think about it. And Dave kept asking me, he's like, "Hey man, look at that stock." And I was like, "I don't even know how to look at it." And he kept saying, and finally he showed me how to log in. And I looked at it, I was like, holy crap. And that was like one of those, another like tender mercy that I call EXP, is just like or miracle, whatever you want to call it. Is like, I was like, holy crap. Like I have these funds in here that I'm able to pay off debt, because we incurred so much debt in 19 with all of our stuff. I was able to take care of, like a lot of that and still have stock. And, I was able to use it as like a recruiting tool. It was just like a really cool, like, aha moment that, dang it, like, I thought I made the right decision, but now I really know I made the right decision. And yeah, it's been awesome. So, I'm going to focus more on recruiting and sharing the model now that I have my business, afloat, so to speak. And, I got systems in place to automate it. And I just want to keep inviting people because it's a great opportunity.
Yes, yes, awesome. And then one thing that you said is connecting with people. And I just wanted to throw in this little tidbit. So I worked with Cody Lewis for a long time. I've known him for longer. And he's the one that joined EXP. That's how I ever heard about it, right? And then he invited me to kind of join him and help him. And so I wear a lot of hats for Synergy, one of them which is finding guests for Power 30. And that's kind of how this came about. So anyways, but I remember when he joined and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know about this dude. I don't know about this dude. I don't know about this model. I don't know about this thing. And you're the smartest person I know. And I don't know about this. And why are you doing this? And I can say it was like a very short amount of time where it just completely blew my mind. I was like, wow. But one of the things that I probably loved the most, and I, especially in the beginning, used to remind Cody of this all the time, was I remember him working at, I believe it was Remax, just working in like a silo, right? Like working by himself, for himself, with himself, and it was himself. And now versus now being connected in EXP, we and he have met so many people across the globe, and especially of course in Vegas and with the Synergy community. And we get to work with so many awesome people. Like the people that EXP attracts for some reason are just freaking awesome people who want to help each other, agents who are so easy to teach and share and, uplift and all of those things. And so Matt, that's how you and I became friends. That's the only reason. EXP is the only reason, and Cody is the only reason that we became friends, and how all this came about with me in my life, and also getting to share your journey. So that's just one of my favorite things about EXP is how many different people we get to work with and all the ways we can connect through workplace, through the world, having sponsors, but also joining communities like Synergy. That is just a game changer, and getting access to all of these awesome people that you might otherwise never be able to like, you could literally pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got a question, can I lean on you? Can you help me with this? And everybody's completely willing to. It's awesome. With that, Matt, we've got 1 minute on the clock. I'm just looking at the comments to make sure that we're not missing anything. And we talked about everything everybody wanted to. Let's wrap it up in 60 seconds. What is your punchline for anybody who's watching? Anything about your story that you would say would be the most crucial thing to take away from this conversation?
That's a great question. I just have to say, like, you have the tools with KV Core, and you have to use them. Even though I'm having success with KV Core, and I only realize I'm using maybe 10-15% of it, to be completely honest with you. There's just so much more. And so, but you have to start using it, start feeding that CRM, and it'll start growing. But you have to babysit it, and but feed it and do something. And start off small and just pick a few things and just stay consistent with it that you feel comfortable with. I keep hearing like, you got to do video. I really don't like to do video, and but that's something I need to start working on more. So that's just set a little goal and vision and move towards it. And then I also live by this. It's WWJJDD. It's what would Jesus, Joe, and Dave do? And so anytime I have a question, I ask them, and I get usually pretty good advice. So those are words to live by.
You can have better leaders than that. I'm positive. That's a great troop. Wonderful. Okay. So we're getting a question about your 4-point system, Matt. So maybe we can follow up and we can share something official in the WhatsApp chat about what those 4 things are. So we're running out of time today, but I'll write that down. That they want more information on the 4-point system, so we can share that afterwards. But with that, we're out of time. We're at our 30-minute mark. So Matt, Haugh, thank you again for sharing your story, for telling us how you doubled your business every year for the past 3 years. Best of luck to you and everything that comes next and more, and how you grow. I'm lucky to know you and to be a part of this community. Thank you again for sharing. Thanks everybody for being here. And with that, we're going to call it a wrap. Thanks everybody.
Thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks everyone.
Matt. Good job.
Thank you.
You're a killer, Matt. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
I hope everybody was paying attention, because you gave the formula right there. It was awesome. Thank you.
Hope I didn't ramble on too much, but
You did
get the
great.
gist.
You did great.